Hello everyone, welcome to week 2 of volume 5 of Roxy's Journal of Stitchery. So by now some of you have already got your backgrounds done, some of you have gone a little bit further than that, and some are probably procrastinating or haven't started or don't know if they're going to do it. But anyway, I hope you join us because these are fun projects and we only work on them for a month before we switch to something else. So if you don't like the pouch, maybe you'll like what we do next month. So what I'm going to do today is to just show you some different ways that I'm going to embellish my pouch. I certainly won't get all the embellishments done tonight because it will be too much stitching. But again, to remind you, I'm very inspired by Pam's and I love how full this is with decorative bits and pieces. So I do really want to try and do something similar. You're my inspiration, Pam. Yep, just love it. So I'm aiming to get mine really full as well. So first thing is just to be mindful of which way your pouch is going to fold up. So for me, that is my bottom flap, and then that's going to be my top flap. So I've almost got some crease lines in it, top and bottom, so that I know whereabouts to place my pieces and also which direction to place them. So I'm going to show you some of the things that I've pulled, some of the embellishments. I was just going to throw down a piece of linen. It is a doily that was an embroidery, an old one, a tablecloth that's only been partially done. I'm going to throw it down here just to give you a neutral background. You might be able to see the print that's on the other side. So I'll show you some of the embellishments I've pulled. So let's just dump them all on here and we'll go through them. Okay, so first thing is I've found some really pretty bits off, like hand towels, embroidered bits, etc. that I want to put on. Just making sure I'm on camera. So things like this and a little bit of cross stitch. And I found this today at the sewing basket. It was a hand towel with this piece and this piece, which is what I'm going to feature on my front cover. And then I found this embroidery, which I loved. It's got different coloured flowers, but they're quite chunky and rustic. And this is the end of another hand embroidery. So I've got this piece of fabric as well that I want to run down the side. So I'm not really going with any theme in particular, although you can see I've got a lot of florals, how unusual. But I'm definitely going with pinks. Okay, so I've pulled some bits and pieces of laces, some different bits and pieces. I'll work out if I'll put them in. That's cut out from a piece of kind of lacy trim. Things like this. Laces. I've got these, which I've used before, but I quite like them. They might find their way in. Some bits of really old bits of tulle. That one's got some embroidery on it, it's a bit yellow. Some edges off linen that have frayed, little scraps. More trims. I love this colour green, that's hand dyed cotton tape. A bit of my fabric measuring tape, which is rapidly running out. I cut out a bee, I thought I might embroider that. Got a little bit of pink rickrack, and then I wanted to put a bunch of Suffolk puffs on, so I've gone greens and pinks and blues basically. So they'll find their way in. So excuse me. And then I've got a little RC, Roxy Creations, and a little bit of sari silk that I got off a package that's, Deb, was this from you? I feel like it might have been from you, Deb. But there's some lace, like a trim kind of stitched down the middle, and then it's been dyed, which I thought was really cool. So I thought I might find a place for a bit of that. And then just let me flip over and pick up these. then I've gone with, of course, I have to add in buttons. So I've gone mostly retro or vintagey type buttons. I've gone pinks and greens. Sorry, not greens. There's no green there. Pinks and neutrals, basically pinks. And so that's what I'm thinking. Won't be all of these, but it's just there on the side, and then I'll pull whatever tickles my fancy. All right, so let's start playing around with all this stuff and seeing if I can work out a layout. Okay, let's move it all away. Move away the tablecloth. And we'll start down the bottom. So what I suggest you do with your layout, play around with it. Then you can pin it in place. Maybe take a photograph so you can remember where you put things before you start stitching. So we'll start down the bottom. This will be my front flap, and I know that I want to put on this really, I've not seen one in that kind of, it's like a watermelon and pink. It's really pretty. So I know I want to have that on the front. Now what I'm being careful of is I want to put bits of fabric on the edge, like you see Pam's done here. I want to do little scraps. My sister, Rach, she made me a pouch like this and did the same, put scraps on the edge, so I'd like to do that. So I'm going to leave a little edge that will allow me to do that. And then the other piece could probably go here. Okay, then I quite like this. I thought this could go on the front. Place it there. Maybe need some, let me look at my laces. It'd be good to have a chunk of lace like that. Just get it under. I want to layer it under. Maybe that one could move over, be a bit more central. So I'm totally just winging this, so we'll see what happens with it and how it looks. Just pulling out my bits so I can see them. I feel like that's enough of my main features on the front. Oh, I might put a bit of lace across there. What have I got? That one. I think that one. Yep, that one will go well. And then, where's my little bee? Where did my bee go? Here it is. Could overlap my bee there and embroider it. I just have to make sure, I'll just check where the fold is. I may have to move this, shift this down a little bit. Okay, so my bee might go there now. Some Suffolk puffs. Let's have a look. Love that. Look at the back. Love that. I might put that over on this side and just, now I'm going to overlap it. And that could overlap onto it. Okay, and then maybe a green one. Let's have a look. What did I have? This one. This one might be pretty. I think I'll do it that way this time. Okay, so that might be my front. And then, I feel like I need something there. And then what I'll do is I will do some stitching and embroidery in between. So when I stitch this down, I will probably pin it all in place and stitch whatever's underneath first. So I'd probably stitch this piece of lace first, then maybe the Suffolk puff, then this, then the lace, then I can start layering up, put these on, and these pieces will probably be last. Just trying to think if there's something I can add there. I might cut this and add a bit of sari trim down the side. So let's just give it a little bit of a cut a bit. Hang on. Like even, I'm not sure yet, something there. I want it to be scrappy. Maybe a bit more green in it. Look at that, love that. Look at that colour. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure about that yet. Maybe I should layer it under and run it up. Just stitch down a scrappy piece. Anyway, I'll decide. So let's slide along so you can see the middle part now. So my middle part's from here to here. Bring that down a bit further. Okay, on the middle part, where's the big thing? Now the middle part, top is that way. So I need everything to go that way. I want to put this on. So that's going to be stitched down, actually. Might do it on this side. So that's going to be quite a big feature. Again, let's put a bit of lace. That is such a pretty trim. Came off something. Might even run it along there. This piece here, you might not be able to see it yet, but I'm thinking of putting it there on the edge. So that will be upside down, but it doesn't matter. That just keeps flopping up because it's not ironed and there's folds in it. It's alright, when I stitch it, it'll be fine. Kind of starting to play around with the top bit. Anyway, here, oops, just dropped a couple of things. I might put this piece of embroidery, like cross stitch, but I'd like something layered under it. Let's rip up a bit of tulle. Something just to give it a bit of texture. Maybe, well, I need some like muslin, like cheesecloth. I don't have it handy, but I might put some cheesecloth under there as well and then layer this on just to give it a bit of texture. Let's have a look, some Suffolk puffs. Okay, I'm going to keep the pink and the green, and these ones I'll use. Okay, so I love the back of that one, it's really scrappy, but then we're going to have the front of that one and then the front of this one. Okay, so I might do a little cluster. Move that over, no, I might keep that there. Love this green. Might be working this side a bit too much, let's see. Run that under. Move these over a bit. Just layer it up a bit. Anyway, just playing around. Oh my gosh, it's so hot in Sydney. Ugh. The fan, you can probably hear it, it's going really, what is the temperature? Let me have a look. It is, it's weather. Oh, it's 24 degrees, but it feels a lot hotter than that. I think it must be hot inside. 24 degrees Celsius, it's quite warm. It's just humid. No, that's too much. All right. I'm not 100% on that one yet. I might play around with that a bit more. I'm just going to slide the mat down a bit to give you a view of the bottom. Okay, so there we go. All right, so this is my fabric. I'm going to put this embroidery, got touches of orange in here. Just maybe there. Be nice and visible when the pouch closes up. Suffolk puffs, kind of got the green and orange coming in there. I've got to have some pink, and I might layer the blue in there as well. We'll see, that's a bit bulky. A lot of neutrally bits and pieces now. Maybe I'll could even run them in a straight line. We'll see. Some lace would be good. This is pretty. Run that down the side there, just keeping it from the edge because there'll be the stitch fabric. But all these other bits and pieces, don't know if I want them. We'll see. Do I want that or the brighter one? I think this one. Maybe again I'll chuck a piece of some tulle under it. Just give it some texture. I'm just trying out different things. Okay, what haven't I used? I could use a bit of rickrack. Oh, where was that pink? Oh, I dropped it again. Sorry, I was looking for the pink ribbon. Pulling that along there with a bit of rickrack maybe. It's finding places for bits and pieces. I don't know if I want that anywhere. Can't think where I'll put it. Because I was about to say I can get too busy, but I guess I'm going for busy, aren't I? That's what I said I wanted to do. That could go there, I guess. Bring in, I'm not sure about that bit. I like it, but I have to play around with it a bit. Eventually my label, I'll just find a place for my label, probably on the front. You can't see that right now. And then buttons as well. I'll embellish with buttons, but I think that that's what my my layout will be, somewhat like this. I'll go ahead and pin it down off camera, and then I'll show you how it'll look when it's folded up. And when you get to the stitching, I'll show you a little bit of that on the front section, and then I will stitch that this week and you'll see it completed next week. I'm even going to maybe stitch with some pretty colours, like some of these pretty threads that I showed you last week. Oh, and I have to say I got some gorgeous, some more of these gorgeous mohairs. They'd go really well. The pinks from the Cruel Goblin. She has such lovely threads. You know, I've got all these pretty ones. I've actually got something I'm going to show you from the Cruel Goblin, but it's going to be for another week. It's coming up. Some great packs that you'll be able to get at the Cruel Goblin, which is good, in Sydney, that is. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the camera, pin it all down, then I'll come back and show you what it will look like. Alright, so I am all pinned in place. So just give you a little look on this angle. So very busy, isn't it? So I love it. Okay, so flip it over. So this, okay, oh, I didn't pin them. Oh well. This would be my bottom panel. Okay, and then this would be the flat. Oh, how pretty is that going to be? I really love that. That's going to be really good once I stitch it all down. I'd use that as a clutch. Anyway, it is going to have a closure as well, which I'll show you. And then this will be, oops, let's get the back side the right way up. So that would be my back side. Okay, love the front. So I am going to quickly show you a little bit of the stitching. I'm not going to do too much tonight, it's too hot for something. So you have an idea of how to stitch it all down for those who are new to this. And then next week I'll come back and I'll show you, and it'll just be all stitched down. And I we'll probably show you a little bit of embroidery and stuff like that for next week. So let's come on to the front panel. Now, what kind of threads? So you can use different threads. It's up to you. I'll give you some options when I find them. So the first thing is I'll probably use quite a bit of this, just a normal sewing machine white or off-white cotton. This is an old one. Okay, I use it all the time. You could do, this is a fine perlé, it's a number 12, which is pretty pastels. So if I was to use this, because it's got the variegated colour, you'd be able to see that, which would probably look quite nice going around something like this. You could make it stand out even more and use a stranded cotton. So this is a DMC 6 stranded cotton. You can use, I would say, anything from 2 strands up to 6, depending on how chunky you want the stitch. And the other thing I tend to use is just old crochet cotton. Okay, so I get packs like this from the sewing basket. Love all these old ones, the off-coloured ones. And they're different thicknesses, and you can use one of them depending on how visible you want it. Will determine what thickness you want. So you can use other threads as well, but they're the basics. You could use a chunkier perlé, it's the DMC one. Size 5. That one, that's a chunky one. Most perlés that people use are a size 8, which would be about that one. Okay, so let's get started with some stitching. I'm going to start with this lace on the side here. So this is just basically what I call an overcast stitch, or I've heard other people referring to it as an overcast stitch. It's just a straight stitch, which I'll do around the outside of this to hold it down in place. And if it's buckling in the middle, you can do some stitches through the middle as well. Okay, where's my needle book? Here. So I'm just threading my needle. Okay, now I'm going to show you, now you seasoned or experienced stitchers already know this, but I'm going to show it for anyone that's new. This is a quilter's knot, so that's the point of my needle, that's where it's the eye, where it's got the thread. What you do is you get your thread and you run it down from point down, and then you wrap it around however many times you want, depending on how big you want the knot. And then what you do is you hold your fingers. Now what I do is I tend to keep my fingers in the middle here, and you slide it down your needle and all the way. Just do it again, sorry, just got a bit tangled. So run it down your needle, wrap it around. Hopefully it works this time. I keep my fingers in just to hopefully stop it from getting tangled, because I do stitch with quite a long thread, which I know is breaking the rules, but I don't care because I don't want to keep threading needles. I'll thread them as little as possible. The only threads that I find that I do have to have shorter tend to be wools, because as you pull them through, the fibres, I think, you know, thin out and they can eventually snap. Okay, so very simply with the lace, just come up on the edge somewhere. All right, and then I just go over a piece of the lace. And you can get this done relatively quickly. You can kind of just do a running stitch. It's to go along this straight side, it's pretty easy. Okay, I'm keeping it away from the edge because there will be fabrics that will come over the top there. As I'm doing each stitch, I'm making sure that I'm going over a piece of the lace, otherwise it's going to be holding nothing if you go in between. And you honestly, unless you look carefully, you wouldn't even know that the thread's there. Just kind of blends in. Especially once this gets lots of stitches on it, you're not even going to notice. The big downside with a long thread is you just have to be careful because it can get tangled on itself. And then that's a pain in the bum if you can't get it undone. Now I could take all these off. I probably will actually, just so I have easier access to my lace first. Get this little guy off. Alright, I'll stop the camera. You don't need to see me stitching this. That's very, very boring to watch. So I'll come back once I've stitched this first piece of lace down. Alright, so using the Pastel Perle thread, just let me focus you. I have just whip stitched or overcast stitch along the edge there, and then I've brought my thread up just there. Okay, and what I'm going to do, let's refocus you. Might zoom you in a bit. I'll try and stay on camera because it's quite zoomed in. Using the same perlé, it's still in there. I'm just going to do a running stitch over the little holes. So over one and then under one. Oh, and of course I unthread my needle. Sorry. There we go. Okay. So do that again. Over one and then under one. So they're quite small stitches as I come around, but you'll be able to see them. Over one, under one. Over one, under. So it's just a running stitch, pretty simple. You'll start to see the variegation in colour coming in. Okay, can you see that, hopefully? I'm just going to move myself over so you can see this part. Again, not the most interesting thing to watch in the world, but I'm just trying to show things clearly for those people that are new to this, because with every project there's always some people that are new. So welcome if you are new. If you haven't joined the Facebook group and you're on Facebook, please do, so that we can see your work. There's great ideas in there, like you might see something that someone else has done that you like a lot more than what we're doing, and you can get ideas from other people. Also, there's quite a few people that post videos on them working on their pieces, which are good to watch. I don't watch all of them, but I do try to see a lot of them. I'll often give a like. I don't really comment much. Sorry, I'm just not much of a writer. Yep, you can tell by my comments on Facebook. I do try to like everything. I only comment occasionally. And then, as I've said before, I almost never write comments on YouTube. I do like, obviously, and thank you all for the people that take time to write lovely things. I appreciate it. I read them all on my email. I just don't go into YouTube and like everything. I should. but I don't. Okay, so I'll turn off the camera again. What I'm going to do with this bottom edge, I'm going to go back to the white cotton and stitch it down because I don't want it clashing or interfering with the embroidery, so that will be stitched down as well. And then I'll come back and show you how I'll stitch down a couple more pieces, and then I'll leave the other panels which I'll work on this week, and I'll show you them finished next week. And then I'll do a bit more embellishing in my video next week. We've worked out there are 5 Mondays in January this year, so we might just space it out a little bit more and keep the next project for February. Okay, so I'll be back in a minute to show you just a little bit more. Alright, so this is all stitched down. I've stitched my Suffolk puff down, same technique, just using that white cotton. I'm just doing the overcast stitch. I'm pretty much going to stitch every single thing down that way, and then what I'll do is, if I want coloured threads, I can embellish later. So just getting the little bee down in place using the same technique, just little stitches over the edge. And then I do plan on embroidering the bee. A good way to do embroidery in your slow stitching is by embroidering onto a pattern, some kind of pattern fabric, or you could also stamp. Rach does that, where you stamp onto fabric and then you can embroider it, rather than having to draw things, unless you're an amazing drawer, which I'm definitely not. Alright, so that is what I'm going to show you for today, because I think that's enough for you to get all this down. It will take quite a while to stitch everything down into place, and then if you know what you're doing, you can start embellishing even further with some embroidery stitches or buttons, sequins, etc. If not, I will come back and I will show you a little bit more next week. So I'm actually, while I was off camera, I was just thinking maybe we should do 2 weeks on embellishing, because embellishing can take a long time, and you know, you can do beading, things like that. So we could easily spend 2 weeks on the embellishments, then the 4th week could be the closure, and the 5th week could be the construction of your pouch, putting it all together. I'll talk to Rach and see what she wants to do. And if you're busy, it's nice to have an extra week up your sleeve anyway, so you can just take your time. It's supposed to be slow stitching, which is slow and relaxing. It's not meant to cause stress, that's for sure. Okay. So I'll do the rest of that off camera, just to remind you of my pieces and where they're going. This one is going to go along there. I'm going to flip that Suffolk puff because I like the back of it, and then this piece will go there. Just need to bring it in from the edge. I'll work out maybe that a bit more of an angle. Okay, so I'm going to leave that for now and stitch it all down, and you will see me again next week, and I look forward to seeing more lovely creations on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.